If you're like most of us, we've all had that moment where we feel like our children just don't listen very well. In this video, I'm going to give you some powerful tools and strategies to help not only improve your child's listening skills, but also to improve the relationship at the same time. Here at VDadley, we like to help fathers get powerful parenting tools and strategies so they can improve the relationship with their children. We're helping dads exit the carrot and stick model of parenting. That means no more punishment, no more bribery, while actually getting more cooperation, respect, and contribution from our kids. If that sounds like the kind of thing that you would be interested in, please consider subscribing and make sure that you hit the bell so you can be notified the next time that we upload a video. Let's get started. So today we're addressing the problem, my child just won't listen. Have you ever felt this way before? Now, if you're like most of us parents, the answer is of course you have. Most of the time when we say that our child won't listen, what we really mean is my child won't do what I tell them. We're really talking more about obedience than we are about listening skills. And here's the little trick here. The more that we are in this telling mode, this bossing, I tell you what to do, authoritarian type of mode that's very common for us to get into, the less our children will actually listen. It's almost as if their defense mechanism or their natural attitude towards us telling all the time is to start to tune us out. So as we are parenting our children, we want to take notice when we're being the bossy parent. Are we telling our child everything to do and everything not to do? Let's take a quick moment to see things from the child's perspective. Imagine that you woke up one morning and someone was saying something like, it's time to get up, put on your clothes, brush your teeth. No, you can't have that. Eat this, hurry up, don't touch that, get your things in the car, stop doing that, get to class, hurry up. Now imagine that someone was talking to us like that all day and every day after. Now, how would you feel if someone was telling you everything to do and everything not to do? What would you decide to do in response to someone doing that day after day? You might, if you're like most of us, start to tune that person out. Unfortunately, when we do this, we're robbing our children of a personal sense of power. The personal sense of power is something that we were all born with, and the reason that we have it is because we have free will. That means that we need to be able to make choices for ourselves and have some sense of autonomy over our body and over our day. But generally with parenting, we don't really give our children a ton of those options. There are so many things that we want our children to do and that we need them to do in order for our day to go smoothly. While we're so concerned with all of those things we want for them and our priorities, unfortunately, their feelings fall by the wayside. Now, children want their feelings, thoughts, and what they want to be just as valid and as important as the rest of us. So we have to be careful that we're not trampling our children's priorities by making sure that we are meeting our own priorities. If you think about it this way, children priorities and parenting priorities are very different. You want your child to be healthy, you want them to be educated, you want them to be well behaved. But a child's priorities might be something like they want to make a special memory, they want to get connected, and they want to have fun. Now, if we're not taking the time to give any energy to their priorities, how likely do you believe it is that they are going to give energy to our priorities? Now, if you've been in this bossing dynamic for too long, it's understandable why your children are wanting to disobey. And it's also understandable why you have been in this dynamic. Life's busy. You got to get to work. There are things that need to be done, and you really do need their cooperation. Both of you have very valid feelings, and both of you need to feel like you are getting your needs met. If we want more agreeable children who listen when we need their support, we have to do a better job of modeling what it looks like to listen and to be agreeable when they need our support. One way to be a better listener and also to get your needs met is to ask more often than you tell. This can be a really powerful tool for our parenting dynamic, so we can actually encourage cooperation in our children while also helping them feel like they have been listened to. Jane Nelson, the author of Positive Discipline, has greatly influenced my parenting, and her book is something I highly recommend. And I want to share with you a very powerful quote from Jane Nelson. Jane Nelson said, "Children will listen when they have felt listened to." It reminds me actually of one of the habits from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The habit that Stephen Covey talks about is seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, this is a very powerful sequence that works for obviously not only children, but also adults, and it works well in business too. You want to seek first to understand and then to be understood. That's because, just as Jane Nelson said, children will listen when they have felt listened to, and your colleagues and other people will also listen better when they have felt listened to, or they will understand once they feel understood. So here's the quick tip. Let's practice asking more often than we're telling. In fact, let's try to tell as little as possible. Let me give you some examples of what asking might look like in a morning routine. Think of all the statements that we used before, like all the same kind of statements that we used. We're going to address those, but instead of using them in statements, we're going to use them in questions. Let's see how that sounds. Good morning, honey. Do you know what time it is? Would you like to wear the blue shirt or the red shirt today? What do we need to do to be ready for school? Would you like to eat yogurt or oatmeal today? Why do we not play in the mud before school, honey? Do you want me to put you in the car or do you want to get in yourself? How fast can you go? Can you stop kicking the seat or should I pull over? Okay, where do we need to go? And should you walk slowly or quickly? Now, can you see and feel the difference in asking? We're getting to the same conclusion. We're encouraging them to hurry. We're encouraging them to make sure they have their things, to keep themselves clean, to eat a healthy breakfast, to do all the things that we want them to do. But instead of assuming that they don't know, we're going to ask them and invite their thinking brain to get involved instead of their fighting brain. Now, here's another great statement. This came from Parenting with Love and Logic. They said, we cannot think and fight at the same time. And you know what? They're right. You can't think and fight at the same time because it requires two different areas of the brain. When we ask a child a question, we're much more likely to engage their thinking brain than we are their fighting brain. So when we are asking questions, we are inviting them to actually be more cooperative and to think instead of fight. Now, here's a quick side note. You want to make sure that you're asking questions where you're okay with either choice. For example, when we said, would you like to wear the red shirt or the blue shirt today? We don't necessarily care whether they wear a red shirt or a blue shirt, just that they wear a shirt. It'd be the same thing if we asked something like, would you like to have the shark toy or the boat toy in your bath today? We're not saying, would you like to have a bath today? Because the child may say no, and we really wouldn't be happy with that choice. These are what they call limited choices. We want to give them choices, but they're within limits that we're okay with. Now, each time you ask a child a question versus telling them, you actually provide them with a small hit of that personal power we talked about earlier. These small hits not only boost their confidence, but they also give them the sense that they can think for themselves and that they can make choices, and most importantly, that we care about what those choices are. This is a huge message to your children. When we do this consistently, they are much more likely to listen when we want them to do what we need them to do and give less pushback. One last final tip, and this is a big one. If you find yourself slipping into that bossy parent mode, perhaps take the time to talk to your child and say, hey, I'm actually working on being a lot less bossy. I apologize for directing you around so much this morning, and it's something that I'm working on. If you'll please forgive me, I promise to put in more effort to ask you more often than I tell, and I appreciate your understanding. When we make small repairs like this, they're actually a big deal. They model for our children what it looks like for us to have and make a mistake. And a mistake is just that. It's just a mistake. We can actually take it over by just letting them know what we would like to have done and how we will improve in the future, and then asking for forgiveness. This can be huge for your child. Just showing them that you're not perfect, you make mistakes, and you're working on them is a really big deal and invites them to have the opportunity to work on their own mistakes. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you did, please be sure to leave us a comment and click subscribe, and also be sure to share this with somebody else you think might find it valuable. As always, I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.